Hey friends, join me for a cozy painting session and a whimsical wintry holiday card. Hi friends, my name is Shayda Campbell and around here we get creative together. The handmade holiday card has been a tradition since 2015 when I started this channel, and every year I have so much fun coming up with a design that I think will be really fun to create and easy, but also really beautiful. And this year, I nailed it. It's one of those cards that you can make lots of and enjoy the process, like watch a Christmas movie and paint 6 or 7 of these. So let's get started. I usually grab my blank cards from the dollar store. I get a pack of these for a couple bucks. And then I find the easiest thing to do is just trace them so you know exactly what size you need your paper to be. And then here's how we get started. We're just going to draw like a messy oval kind of right in the center and leave lots of room around it. I'm working on hot pressed 140 pound paper, by the way. Cold pressed is also fine. And then you're going to draw a little house, very simple house, and then bring 2 straight lines out from the peak of the roof and the corner of the roof, as well as 1 straight line across the bottom, and then you just kind of finish your house off. You get it. I'll show it really close up here. So the house shape, 2 straight lines, 1 straight line across the bottom, and then finish it with the angled line and another straight line. It's a very simple little folky house doodle. And then grab your set of watercolors. I'm using the 48 pan set from Mungyo, and we have 2 glasses of clean water here, paper towel for blotting our brush. All the supplies are linked in the description. And the first thing you're going to do is mix up a very, very dark blue. So I used indigo, or if you have a navy blue, whatever, and black. Lots of black in there, but it is sort of a blue-black. I want it to be like a nice dark night sky. And we are going to fill in the entirety of that messy oval that you drew and carefully go around the house. And it should look a little watery. It should look a little messy. I'm using the Filbert brush for this, a number 6 Filbert brush, and I'm doing 2 cards at once. I really wanted to show that this is a project that you can do multiples of because it is simple, and in that way you can make a bunch of handmade cards for the people in your life. So let's do another one down here, just that messy oval, and you're going to fill it in its entirety, carefully going around the house. Although you can see I haven't gotten all of the lines straight on the house. They're sort of a bit messy, and that's fine. Anyways, rinse your brush. That first step is done. Now what we're going to do is mix up a nice dark earthy green. So I am taking like a deep phthalo green or a malachite green, and then I'm adding lots of brown to it. You could also use an olive green or a gray green. But whatever green you have in your palette, if it looks a little too bright, a little too lively, just add brown or red to it. And then I am using my number 6 round brush. Remember, all supplies that I love to use are linked in the video description. And we are just painting the messiest, most simple wreath. You're going to do sort of these 1 brush stroke leaves where you kind of just add a little pressure to the brush, just kind of flick that brush against the paper, and you make these sweet little oval leaf shapes. They can all be a little different sizes, and you just go around and fill in until you have completed the wreath. And then you can look for spots that maybe look a little sparse, although I don't think a bit of a sparse area is a bad thing. Another option is you can just start with like a very thin, messy line and then add the leaf shapes. So paint that sweet little folky, simple wreath however you are most comfortable. And just don't go too dark with your green, because with the dark navy and then a super dark green, it just looks too heavy. And then I mixed up a really light gray. So take something like French gray, maybe add like a little hint of brown to it because you want it to be warm. And we are just going to paint the side of the house. And there's a little rectangle there where I've left the shape of a window, and you're just going to put a cross, through the center of the window to give the look of window panes. With that done, we are going to mix up a dark red. So start with something like a cherry red, and to darken it, you can add a little red brown, you can add a little violet, but you still want to keep it red. And then we are going to add little berries to this wreath. So one thing I haven't addressed is you have to be aware a lot of this is wet on dry. We're putting a color next to color. So if you don't want to get that bleeding and blending, just be aware that layers are dry. Before you paint the side of the house, make sure the navy is dry. Before you add these little berry circles, make sure the green is dry. And if you need to get out a hairdryer, you can do that. But yeah, for the berries, I am just painting tiny little circles. Some of them I'm putting in clusters, others I'm doing off on their own. So it's just sort of makes a nice random pattern. And then you can always add a little stem to some of them, but you totally don't have to. So there we go. We're almost done with the watercolor portion. The only other thing we're going to add in watercolor is a bit of light brown to the roof. So all I did was add a bit more Van Dyke brown to the gray that I had mixed up and added lots of water. Again, if you go too dark brown, it's going to it's not going to stand out against that navy. So a nice watery brown here is perfect. And we're going to fill in the side of the roof as well as the one little angled line on the left-hand side. And there you have it. The watercolor portion of this holiday card is now complete. So at this point, you want to make sure everything is dry again. And we are going to take a bit of white gouache. And remember with gouache, it comes out of the tube the consistency of toothpaste. I just mix mine on a little plate. I added water to it so that it's nice and liquidy. And then with a round brush, I am just adding these little tiny circles. So it gives the look of snow. It's sort of like a folky way to paint snow. And you can also do that with a paint pen. You do not have to use gouache. Next up, I am taking a yellow Tombow brush pen and I am filling in those 4 little window panes and then adding an additional 4 window panes on the front of the house. Now this you could do with watercolor, of course, but I think the easiest thing to do here is just to do this step with marker. And again, if you want to use paint pen instead of gouache, go for it. Keep it nice and simple so that you can watch that holiday movie. And then I've written my greeting in pencil and I started with a 1mm mulatto black liner, but the nib was too large. I didn't feel like I had the precision, so I switched to a 0.7mm. With the fine liners, that's why it's nice to have a couple with different nib sizes. And my greeting this holiday season is love and warmth. And, that's just giving that sense of coziness and magic that we all enjoy. And I'm going to cut out my cards. I used to use a paper cutter, but you can also use scissors or a ruler and paper knife, and then we'll use a little bit of rubber cement to put them on our blank greeting cards. And then the final thing here is to take a gold marker or pen and just add some little dots or stars to our night sky. I think that finishes it off in the most lovely way and does give that sense of magic and coziness and, winter darkness. I actually love the dark in winter. So that's it, friends. That's our 2024 holiday card. I hope you will try these out and send handmade cards this season to friends and family. We all need a little extra cheer this year, I think. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Patrons, you can head over to Patreon to get my printable card. There are 2 versions this year, a coloring one and a regular sort of printable one. And thank you so much for being here, friends.